I can't really get her in frame. I can't get her in frame. There she goes.
Oh my god.
Melanie Mack behind me.
It's for the best.
I do have to get going now.
Yeah, me too. I was looking at the clock.
Fuck off.
We both got to head out. See, it's a coordinated thing. Like
yes.
Jeff and I are like, we cannot stay more.
First, we nuked Bob's channel, and now we're getting out of here.
Oh, what do you want to show, Dane?
Well, I have a 7-minute clip that's from the Neil Brennan podcast. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he does a podcast, and he's a comedian, writer, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I've been really trying to explore comedians that are not in this Rogan chud space, right? And trying to figure out. So, like, just for example, here's this one from Jeselnik.
Well, 1 second though, I do want to address Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar is not like a podcast bro. He's like it's like a news thing with him and Emma.
It's more.
Podcast bros.
He
are
is
more
awesome,
like the guy.
but yeah.
No, I like Sam Cedar's like the stuff they cover. I like it, but he's more along the lines of presenting the news like an old school news format. I'm talking more like the guys that spend 90% of the time talking about whether or not Bigfoot is real and if they're sending signals down from space, mixing it with politics and stuff like that.
Though I do think, like, if you want to look at the difference, the dark money difference, you can clearly see it when you look at somebody like Sam Cedar and compare it to Tim Pool. The fact is,
they talked about it on his podcast. Yeah,
way
like how much the difference
more production. Yeah.
Sam Cedar he talked about that. Tim Pool is making like millions of dollars, and Sam Cedar's like we're some months we don't even make 100,000. He's got like a massive platform.
Yeah, he's got crew and stuff. Yeah. They're comparable in size, but yeah, Sam.
Well, I mean, I wonder if Sam Cedars tried to talk to Russia about that. If maybe there's some funds you could get in on that.
Well, you know, Sam Cedar has the same thing that holds us back. The thing I think ethic.
Yes, definitely. But Sam Cedar's also he's not big on pop culture, so he doesn't know a lot of the current pop culture stuff.
Yeah, he literally whenever Tim Pool brings up Thanos, he's like, I don't care.
I love that. He's like,
no, here's just real quick because this is relevant.
Well, I think Turf, are you staying for this or are you leaving?
Oh, I do have to leave.
I'll stay a little bit for this. Yeah, I'll stay.
Yeah.
Me through the daughter transitioning thing and what. Because I've never really heard anyone. I know you talk about it in the special that I haven't watched yet.
No,
good grief.
That's
you
not
don't
actually.
Talk about it?
That's not in that one. That's actually the one I'm working on right now.
I'm curious as to because the thing that my feeling about trans people in general is it's wrong. No, I'm kidding. My feeling about trans people is it's hard. It's a very hard thing for them to go through, and I wonder what it's like for you and beyond like the cultural norms and the masculine stereotypes and all that shit. Is it what was it? What are the phases for you as a parent?
I learned that acceptance is everything, right? And that, you know, when you're presented with certain things, it's not about the person, right? It's about you. Everything is always for you. Why are you feeling this way? You need to break ego. You need to break the fact that you think you can control things. This is part of your problem. This is why you're depressed.
God damn, he's spitting some fucking wisdom already, man. Like
Marlon.
I love Marlon. I've always loved Marlon.
He was like this, man. Like holy shit.
Yeah, I've noticed him recently really calling out the chuds because
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw that it was announced they were going to be doing the next scary movie again or whatever, and I was like,
and him and his brother, him and his brother are doing it. Yeah.
I'm supporting that shit.
You have anxiety because you are trying to control and steer the ship when it's not in your control, and you're going to have to learn to lie back and trust God. And if you hit the ground, you're going to hit the ground. But if not, shut up and fall backward.
Trust God, except for death. Once death is there,
I'm sleeping though.
You got to question God.
I'm sleeping.
My
was a point I didn't. Now I'm sleeping. I'm like, fuck that.
As far as the religious, as far as the
so
religious
I'm much
stuff,
better now.
With him, I don't necessarily agree with that aspect of it, but I do understand like the idea of sitting back and kind of letting things unfold when you don't have control.
Well, I mean,
I've gotten to where I can listen to somebody talk about God in a general sense, and even though I don't believe in the same thing that they're probably talking about, I can kind of relate it to my
if we're talking about like a metaphysical like concept,
Well, it helps that also like there's been more Christians speaking out against a lot of the stuff that the people who claim to be firm Christians say and do. People who actually listen to the words of Jesus Christ and think those are things to live by.
Yeah.
Wait,
Those are the
what?
type of
Actually,
Christians I
listen
can
to
get
the things
behind.
No, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to
remember-
keep you with this, DJ. If you got to go, but like, I did want to point out that the one thing I want to do with the Shillcast and like, basically any stream I do from now on, in the time being anyway, is like point people to some resources, man, because there's a need for them.
Yeah.
And like, so I've got a few things pulled up right here, real quick.
Let's do it.
Here is this is the right what is it righttobe.org, and there's this free training you can get that is like how to kind of like intervene without escalating in like some type of often it'll be like an employment conflict type situation or harassment type situation, just basically anything. And these are free trainings that you can get. Okay. So generative conflict training kind of thing, and bystander stuff, and like, so there's that, and I will drop the link to that in the chat in a second. Then there's also 7 steps for transgender people preparing for federal crackdowns under Trump. This is a pretty dark one to have to offer, but it's worth taking a look at to see if especially if you're obviously in a state that is already hostile to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then here's just like 10 free ebooks for getting free. So this is like, through Haymarket, they provide some pretty awesome free books that you can just download these books for fucking free, man. And these are, just generally about history of, liberation of various communities, Black communities, socialism, stuff like that. Just worth reading to kind of like get outside of the ideas that we're often kind of constrained within in American culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, these are all
There's
great.
those.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I did my video talking about it. That's one of the reasons why the low watermark conversation happened with me in the first place, was I made that video and it got a lot of interesting responses from people that I had streamed with before. People that had no problem with me before, but the minute I start offering up resources for my community, then all of a sudden it's like, I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm supposed to be quiet.
That is very weird. Yeah. That should just be a thing that
calling that a radical stance. Calling my video a radical stance.
Oh, that is
literally
wildly radical.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting here and look, by the way, we need radical activism. Like it is important to have people that are a bit on that fringe. I think it does help break down some of the barriers that other people are able to push through because of that. Do I always agree with radical takes on things? No, absolutely not. But I think it's a little weird for people to call what I'm doing radical when I'm simply saying, stay safe. If you're in a state or a place where you feel like you're threatened, find resources, talk to your pride organizations, talk to your resource centers in your area. And if you don't have one, go online. Here's a list of resources. To make a video saying that and saying that we're going to fight back against stuff that oppresses us, I don't think that's a radical stance.
Well, yeah, they don't want to fight back though. That goes against
Right.
They've won in their minds. They should be smooth sailing for them to fucking
Right.
oppress the shit out of people.
Even though they're the ones that said they were fighting the whole time that other people are president. These are the same people that complained the entire time Obama was president, the entire time Biden has been president. So it's okay for them to complain if they're afraid of their guns being taken away. But if I'm offering resources for my community in red states where they are worried for their lives, then that's a problem. So
I mean, you saw his mustard suit. That was unacceptable for a president.
That
Right.
time that he fucking saluted with a coffee cup in his hand.
yeah.
He asked
Yeah.
for Dijon mustard.
I mean,
fucking
look,
fancy
the
pants.
reality is I'm ready to be radical. Like, if you want me to be the radical, like, left gay guy that you want me to, I can be that guy. I can do it. It's
Look,
been a
man,
minute since
I
I've done
come
it,
from the
but
late '80s, early '90s when radical just meant cool as fuck. So I'm
Right.
still down. You know
I
what
mean, look, the reality
Yeah,
is
Ninja
that
Turtles are radical.
the thing about it is that all this time they've been complaining about being oppressed. They were doing so and making money off of it. So the congratulations. Now you're going to have 4 years of left-leaning podcasters and commentators talking about all of the stuff that's coming down on our community. And the difference is this time it's actually going to be happening. So yeah. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah,
Roberts.
and what I'll do is I'll actually make just a document that will have like these links as well as many more. And if you have any to suggest to add to it, then let us know. And I'll just have that link, that one document link, basically every stream to hand out.
If you're going to make some kind of like an info clip or something to use in videos, let me know. I'd like to get a copy of that for my channel as well, if you do that.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind. I don't want to take advantage of your work, but
well, I mean, yeah, maybe I want to be taken advantage of.
oh, there we go. Where's the couch? Where's the couch?
I'm radical like that. Yeah,
Where's
I'll
the
be
couch?
your couch.
As long as it's not a black couch.
Wait, hold on. Is it? That sounds a little like, All right. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Everybody watching on my channel, be good. Don't get spanked by these guys if you do something wrong, because they will spank you. So, but thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see everybody. I'll be live tomorrow night. Nocturnal Nerdcast, guys. I'll be live tomorrow, talking about nothing political. So come in and hang out with me and everybody. And Bob sometimes shows up. Dane is obviously welcome to come as well. I know, Bob, it just depends on if you work on Friday mornings or not.
Yeah, and
I have a hard time separating this stuff
there,
sometimes in the moment. Like I may like be like, okay, I'm not going to talk about anything political, but then like get on there and it just like enters my brain and I start saying stuff. So I don't want to.
That's cool. No, that's cool. Like I have people try to break me all the time. A couple of my co-hosts are always like, well, what about Trump or what about Biden? Or I'm just like, oh, I don't even talk about this. But anyway, I'm out of here.
What about Tom McDonald claiming that he's identifying as a fucking good rapper? How about that shit?
Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Wait, is he trying to rap?
I didn't. Yes.
Holy shit! I had no idea.
By the way, I didn't even bring up the fact that there's that guy who used to date a trans woman that's now dressing in trans, taking pictures and pretending that he was doing it as a social experiment, but he owns like 100 dresses. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I remember that. Yeah.
We should talk about that. Okay, so next week I'm going to put together a little segment for that, because it's quite the deep dive. So it'll be fun.
Because I know the full details on him, but I just remember seeing him and be like, he's a joke.
Yeah, it is. So I'm out. See everyone later.
Lovely.
Bye.
Later. And then there were two.
Fuck. Just the
two of us. We can make it if we try. I just want to watch the rest of this Marlon Wayans clip, honestly.
Oh yeah, sure. Base as fuck.
He's fucking saying some good shit.
The thing that you're talking about, the control part, isn't that part of parenting? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but there's a point in parenting.
How old is your daughter now?
My child's 23.
Yeah, it's a part of parenting, but like if your kid, control is a degree of parenting, but the wisdom of parenting is that knowing what you can and should even try to control, and like where you should just let your child be a human being, and like if your kid decides they like reading this type of book or they like this sport over the sport you wish they would play, then like you kind of just need to let them do that, right? Like,
well, listen, I will speak as a parent. I will say, in general, you can't control other people. When you're a parent, that's not 100% true, but it's still mostly true.
Honestly, I've never even thought about it like control with my kids. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not how I see it. It's more like you want to guide them as best you can. You want to, you want to establish a trust and so that they trust your intentions and that you care what's best for them. And then you want to give them the guardrails, guidelines, and, hope that they trust those. And sometimes they might even test those, or they probably will test those.
And because here's a fact. If your kid decides they want to do something stupid, they're going to do it. Yeah. And the best thing you can do is just set up so they're comfortable coming to you and confessing.
Yes. I'm just kidding. I don't have any stupid kids.
No, near do I. I'm lucky, but yes.
Really lucky. Yeah, I mean, my kids are great. Like, I mean, honestly, I haven't really, I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I mean, I do have my daughter has had an experience that relates to some of the stuff we've been talking about. And I maybe I'll decide if I want to talk about it in the future or not, or maybe I'll talk to her and see if she even be okay with it, even though nobody's going to know who she is. I still feel weird talking about it too much without consent, but still, the point is that it worked out just fine. And that was with me trusting her to make some decisions about what she was doing. And she tried something out for a while, realized that it's not really for me. It's not what I thought it was. And yeah, now things are great. And they were great then too, but whatever. Kids are a lot smarter and more capable than I think, especially like reactionary minded parents want to give credit for.
They seem to think kids are just like a blank slate and you just like fill them up with stuff. And it's like, no, they get lots of information from outside of you, especially as they get older. If you're a good parent, all you've done is you set up someone that they can come to and trust.
I mean, I don't even think that's true, man. Like, yes, mine would be, I want my kid to make decisions that makes them happy and healthy. And, if they're happy and healthy, then I am proud of them, whatever that is. If they're not doing anything that's damaging themselves or limiting their own, potential or anything like that, then I'm going to be proud of it, even if it, you know, isn't exactly what I had in mind. So,
although I will say my kids consistently make me proud, not to brag, but yes.
Same. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying it's not the first thing. It's not my first mouse watermark.
They don't need to. They just, it's a perk.
Yep.
Okay.
24 now.
Okay.
And this was happening when they were 22, 23. And for me, like,
that's the let go time. That's like you're your own person now.
Yeah. But
And-
you know, you're trying to hold on, right? And you want this thing that's in your head, normalcy, and you think about your grandchildren and you all kinds of shit. And it's like, yo, it's not on me to think about none of that. This is their life, and they should be happy. And if they do this or they want to change back, whatever they want to do, it's not on me to punch down on my child. It's on me to love my child. Period. That's all. All I could do is love my child, and that's what I do.
Did you try to talk them out of it?
Of course. I try to hypnotize that bitch.
I believe it. I mean,
no. I did. I was like, no, wait, hold on. And like I said, and I protested, like against it. And you know, and I don't say that with pride.
Right.
I look back on those actions, and
it's funny how you can be
I'm ashamed.
so embarrassed by something you did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that was I was only
motherfuckers ready? Hello, and welcome. We're about to get started. We'll do a little intro first because I got a couple things to prep here. But there's that, and here's this. See you soon.
I used to keep my comics in the plastic, fresh copy, whiteboard and bag it. The only novels we read was graphic. Dressed like a nerd and I acted anxious. Got my first comic book and was fascinated. And just like that, your whole world changes. I saw my whole life right between the pages. DC and Marvel had the insane shit. Bruce Lee, Bruce Banner, Bruce Wayne, kid. Getting in the game, well, you need some practice. If you want to get your comic book stack the fattest, hit the shop on the Wednesday, check the new rack. Flip through the front, grab yours from the back. I'm bagging the board, add it to your stack. I used to keep my comics in the plastic, fresh copy, whiteboard and bag it.
The dreaded beast versus the savage hunter. Aliens versus Predator. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus with whipping dreadlocks.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
And the ferocious mother alien in her monstrous hide traps Spiketail, then covers him in ooze.
Jeez, you got a big pussy.
Aliens versus Predator. Queen Hive playset comes with mother alien figure and ooze. Other figures sold separately.
Jeez, you got a big pussy.
Look, here's the thing.
Like, here's it.
Here's the thing.
Hey, what on?
Here's the thing.
Gotta be fucking kidding.
Daddy needs to get his rocks off. Here's the thing.
Here's the fucking thing.
Look, here's the thing.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
Any of you incels doing on 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now? Anybody?
I vaguely know who actual fandom is. I think I might actually been on it. No.
You should hit like if you're watching, if you're gaining anything out of this, even if you're gaining a feeling of like disgust and resentment and how dare this fucking communist, fucking liberal, fucking radical leftist, fucking Antifa, BLM, fucking all those words that you don't really know what they mean, but you know they fucking not good. If you feel anything like that, hit like or hit the downvote. I don't know. I don't fucking care, man. Just engage with this goddamn video, please.
The other one, No Organized Chaos, actual fandom.
should delete your channel. The female version of Dick Grayson is Pussy Grey Daughter.
He's not alive, but he's right.
But really, if you want to do any kind of like karmic justice back in the fucking world for the damage that you're causing with this kind of shit, you should just delete your fucking channel. Okay? Drink it in. Yeah. Absorb it. Let it wash over you. Look, here's the thing.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
And I paused it at an awkward moment. Hello and welcome. 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 Come well. Come well, my fellow comers. And speaking of fellow comers, fellow traveler, hello.
Do not come.
Do not come. Maybe that was the wrong
Do not
message
come.
to send years ago. I don't know.
Well,
Look, guys,
Trump said, "Do not vote," and look how that turned out.
Let's all. So this young man that we're hearing on the screen with me here is he's the one responsible for me learning the word Kakistocracy. So now I'm going to impart its meaning unto you. If you're not aware. Let me go ahead and find where I think you posted that picture of that definition. I think, right?
I did.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so here we go.
Because I had just learned it that day as well.
I mean, look, it's kind of relevant, maybe going forward.
Yeah, very relevant. I would say 100% accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible that they pull something out and they're like the best government we've ever heard of or something. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Let's see. All right, yeah. So, Kakistocracy. The government by the least qualified or most unprincipled citizens. Governed by the worst men. Under the control of a nation's worst or least qualified. It's like this is almost... Was this word made up like just 2 weeks ago? Because...
Who cares? Maybe it was made up by them. And Trump's cabinet picks are basically, he's trolling us, right? So,
oh God, yes. Well, I mean... And that would be fine and not fine, to be annoying if it wasn't so fucking real and dangerous. So, but what we've learned, we've been talking about this on a lot of shows lately, is we don't want to get too in the weeds on like, oh, this is wrong and this is bad and this is morally shitty and stuff. We just got to talk about Bigfoot. We talk about aliens and shit. And then every once in a while we'll be like, hey, those fucking MAGA people, those are weird people, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm down to talk about Bigfoot and aliens as well. Cool. I love those subjects. Those are my comfort food subjects.
We're gonna talk about that stuff. We're gonna talk about cryptids and shit, which I have a vague interest in. Like, look, I listen to Last Podcast on the Left regularly, but the cryptid episodes are always my least favorite episodes. I'll say that, but
they
that's
do
fine.
Cryptid episodes? I did not know that. I've never listened to that show.
Oh, it's a great show. But I mean, it's mostly they do like true crime, but they do it like in a morally responsible way. So yeah, there go talking about that shit again. God damn it. But yeah, every once in a while they'll talk about some cryptid or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's kind of fun or whatever. They talk about it as if they believe it's real, even though they know that it's not. They don't really believe it's real. You know what I mean? They're kind of like in character, doing kayfabe, talking about these cryptids and shit, making jokes.
Well, the way reality's been going the last couple of years, it would not surprise me if it's all true.
Yeah, God damn it. I mean,
look,
we
lost our anchor beings in 2016, and the timeline is just deteriorating right in front of us.
Like, this fucking guy is something, right? Like, what is he? And that, okay, look, that's slightly doctored, but what is he? He
has to have had work done.
This was, I think, before the work was done. I mean, I think, or no, but yeah, this was more recently. But there was I think it was during the was it the nominating convention or whatever the fuck stupid thing a while back, where he looked legitimately terrified the whole time, as if he was the subject of the laws that he wants to enact. Like, as in, like, he had Botox done that was just oh man. Anyways, yeah, it was Prince.
Keep himself looking young and fit for all those high schoolers he wants to go.
There's a song about it, guys. There's a song about all the anchor beings we lost in 2016 or so. I mean, it was a little bit before then too. So we lost. Let me find it real quick.
We lost Bowie and Prince in the same year. That's a blow I don't think we'll ever recover from. And apparently Harambe, as Mark is saying in the chat. I did not. Was that 2016 Harambe?
No, that was like 20. Yeah, I guess so. All right, so this is a song called "So Long and Thanks for All the Fish." You many of you, I'm sure, recognize that. But the song is about. It's from a band called A Perfect Circle. This album that they put out came out in 2018. And so the lyrics go like this. Time is money and money's time. We wasted every second dime on diets, lawyers, shrinks, and apps, and flags and plastic surgery. Now Willy Wonka, Major Tom, Ollie, and Leia have moved on. Signal the final curtain call in all its atomic pageantry. And then there's another verse that says, let's see. Like our prince and Reenie's mom, all the dolphins have moved on. Yeah. Willy Wonka, Major Tom.
Did Nostradamus write these lyrics?
What's that?
Did Nostradamus write these lyrics?
I mean, Maynard James Keenan wrote these lyrics, and I mean, basically, it's good. He's got as good a track record, really. So, yeah, it's a good song. Check it out. I would play it, but I'm trying to avoid, getting those old fucking things.
It's always good to find a cover somewhere.
That's a good point. And look, I'm not in any rush, so I'm gonna find one actually, and at least we'll listen to it later on or something. But so this might be the kind of last stream that's kind of just like this. I watched a stream the other day by a gentleman, Anthony Gramuglia, and I'll be damned if I didn't want to steal that format.
Oh, the
his research streams.
Forced diversity is not a thing.
Well, that's the one, but like just generally the research streams of like, here's the topic that I want to look into. I'm going to look into several, I'm going to pre-choose several videos ahead of time. And then I'm going to, just kind of look through those and talk it out with the audience and, do some research for the video essay that I'm going to be working on.
Yeah. I watched part of it. It was pretty good. I was watching him go over an Endymion TV video.
Oh, I missed that one. I left before that.
The man that brought you and I together. And and Endymion was complaining about people like fat people. He was fat shaming somebody, or he's complaining about
And has he seen a picture of Endymion?
Yeah. No,
I mean, look, he's not
Anthony,
like a big old fat boy, but he definitely looks like someone that if he isn't very careful, he would just like very quickly blow up.
Anthony wasn't complaining about it. It was Endymion was complaining about it.
That's what I'm talking about. Endymion looks kind of fat.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't like to fat shame people. I just will do it if they're fat shaming people. I'll absolutely point out how hypocritical that they are. That's why I don't fat shame people.
Yeah, I typically don't, but when they are themselves not the picture of physical fitness,
I will point out any hypocrisy. I don't care. I mean, just because it's worth pointing out that to me, not because like, oh yeah, well, what about you? It's more like there's something wrong with your psychology, I think, if you're doing that. And I think that shows a flaw in your logic overall. Like it shows that you're coming at things from a really fucked up work perspective and really you shouldn't be listened to.
Yeah.
That's kind of how
he was saying that he works out regularly, which okay, I'm willing to believe that. I do.
I have no doubt he does.
But
he has the puff of a guy who would be a big fat guy if he didn't work out regularly and eat certain foods and stuff like that. He's got that puff about him.
Yeah. I've seen plenty of like strength athletes who have that look, but just like don't be an asshole.
No kidding, man. No kidding. Man, that Marlon Wayans clip I was playing.
He's the kind of guy, he strikes in the video that Ant was watching. Endymion struck me as the kind of guy who would be at the gym and would make fun of fat people for being at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, isn't that what you want? You want fat people to not be fat. You just ranted about fat people. That's the energy I was getting from him, that they just can't win with him. He won't cut them any slack at all.
Oh God, I think I found a fucking winner, man.
Uh-oh.
I found a cello cover of that song.
Ooh.
This is dope.
But in general, yeah, the research stream format was pretty interesting. And I think more people should replicate it.
So just as I was saying in the server earlier, I went back and I watched my most watched video still to this day, which definitely set me up for false ideas of how successful my subsequent videos would be.
Yeah. YouTube can do that to you.
Yeah, right. I'm far from the only victim of this. But it's a Watchmen video, and I'd gone back and watched it before. I'd actually done a stream one point a couple of years ago to celebrate like my 3-year channel anniversary, where I was like, did a stream where I kind of watched several of my biggest videos and commented on them and stuff. And then, but what I hadn't done was went back and watched the show again, because that's what it was about. For anybody that's not aware, it was not Watchmen the book. It was Watchmen the HBO series, which is a sequel to the graphic novel. And yeah, I think I kind of figured out what I did wrong there. Like, as far, well, maybe not wrong, I try not to regret things, but as far as what I didn't understand, I could have kept doing to maybe retain some of those viewership that I was getting or got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, in that video, I did not assume my audience. I actually, the way I was speaking to people was like, I'm talking to you as if you could be from almost any political stripe. The only one, as the video gets deeper in, I mean, pretty much from the start, it's pretty hostile to right wingers in general, right? But like, I don't know. I mean,
the show is hostile to right wingers.
Yes. So, it is, but it's also kind of there's some subtle stuff that I forgot about that I didn't comment on in the video. That there's some stuff that's critical of some lefty stuff too. Like the first scene that's not the Tulsa massacre scene. The first scene in present day, which is he's a cop, he's a black cop, and he's the cops wear masks in this world. Ever since the White Night, which is when a bunch of cops got shot in their beds. So they wear masks and nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows, even their spouses don't know if they're a police officer anymore.
Yeah, I remember that.
But this black cop, he's wearing a half mask, it's like a yellow thing that covers up his nose and his mouth, and he pulls over a guy that's like kind of a hick looking guy, and then whenever he asks him for his license and registration, he opens the glove box and he sees a Rorschach mask in there, which at this point, post Watchmen graphic novel, Rorschach has become a symbol for white supremacy, which isn't a big stretch if you've actually read the goddamn book, but a lot of people seem to not understand how that could be possible. Because he was a fascist, guys. He always was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the cop has to go back to his car and radio back to the station and get his gun buzzed out to him. Like, he has to answer some questions like, do you feel your life or safety is in great danger? And he says, yes, high risk. And they're like, do you feel like they have weapons or whatever? Yes. So he's got his gun is just locked in on his inside his center console there, and somebody has to fucking hit a button and buzz it out for him to unlock it and have his gun.
Okay, I'm like, I remember this scene.
That's somehow critical of I don't know what leftist proposals possibly or something, but I wasn't sure what it was saying. Still don't know, but except to say that maybe these things are just not cut and dry. I don't know. Anyway, so there's that, and there's also just the fact that I chose a piece of media that was very, very controversial for several. Like, there's so many like axis points or points on an axis for why that show was controversial. Just the Watchmen sequel, that's Watchmen sequel in general. It's going to be controversial.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is, who does it, it's going to be. But then done by Damon Lindelof of all people, going to be controversial. And then being as upfront about racism and being such a Black Lives Matter, obviously kind of inspired narrative and stuff like that, and looking into the often
that was the big one.
unknown history of white supremacy. Like, the opening scene is what got me to make the video. I committed to it after I watched that Tulsa massacre and realized this is a thing that happened. Because I had no fucking idea before that.
I was aware that it had happened in a broad historical sense, that I knew there was an event, the Tulsa massacre, but I didn't realize that like it was how nuts it was. Like there were planes dropping bombs and and yeah, that kind of blew my mind when I first learned about that. And they did that also in Lovecraft Country. They did, yes, believe it, the Tulsa massacre. There's been many of these events, so perhaps
with that one, the thing I learned about that I didn't know about was sundown towns, and I mean, maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it's less of a far reach for me to realize that was a thing. Considering I am from the South, I know how things used to be much more than they are now. But yeah, sundown towns is a pretty dark one too, man. Like holy shit.
Yep.
And
there
yeah,
are still some of those now.
I was pretty disappointed that both of those shows did not get. Well, I mean, with Damon Lindelof, I'm proud of him, man. He did say that, like, they asked him to do it again, and he said no because he didn't know what he really had to say that would be any, that would expand on that and be useful or whatever. I don't remember how he said it, but like, he could have. He was offered to do another season.
Yeah.
And he was like,
Lovecraft Country was never intended to be more than a 1-season show because they adapted a book and they did the story of the book in the first season.
Well, I think they could have probably taken it further if they wanted to, but
nonetheless, there's definitely more to explore there. But like a lot of people got mad and started saying the show was canceled, and it wasn't canceled. They never planned on doing any more seasons ever. And the producer of the show pitched a second season, but HBO said no.
Those two shows belong to a category of media that kind of came to the fore with like Get Out, basically.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's a piece of media made by Black people that explores racial dynamics in ways that like most people have never even thought about before. Like
most white people, you mean? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Sorry, most white people have never thought about before. And each one of those have some aspect of that where it's like, oh, what? There's racism like that,
Yeah. Like the first episode of Lovecraft Country, the monsters were the least scary part of that episode for me. Like the most tense part of that episode was the drive out of town as the sun was going down.
Yep. Well,
that was much, much scarier than the monsters in the woods.
That show also had some really uncomfortable shit, man. Like the two-spirit ghost thing. That was like that his dad straight up murdered, man. And out of like it's like a trans panic kind of thing. And I'd never really thought about that because obviously I'm not of the Black community, but like that was them Black people saying we have a problem in the Black community of transphobia, and like we need to confront this kind of thing. And that was fucking uncomfortable. I didn't know what to think about all that. Like I watched his Jesse Gender video, and then I think I watched somebody else that kind of put that into context for me because I didn't really know what to think about it. It's pretty upsetting.
Well, I would venture to say that they're not alone in having that problem in their community.
No, but I mean, it's statistically, it is also just like it's and not going to say it's any worse or anything, but it is kind of statistically not good. It's not statistically not good in any fucking community, but you know what I'm saying? It's these things, and I really shouldn't be afraid to talk about these things. I get nervous talking about them, but when I look back at that Watchmen video, which I almost deleted before I let it finish uploading, almost deleted it because I was like I couldn't breathe. I was fucking trembling uploading that shit mainly because of the part where I talked about my own history of like how I viewed the Black community in the town next door that I grew up in. And how it was because of certain limitations on my experience, it was easy for me to kind of believe certain narratives about Black people. And, even though I was sitting there saying I was wrong, and this is how I learned different and stuff like that, I still was like super fucking uncomfortable putting that out there.
Yeah.
And this is when I wore a mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, No, you can. So,
I mean, but that speaks highly of you, and that's good. It's good because I think more white men should talk honestly about this.
Yeah.
And you know, I see Juan in the chat. I want to address Juan. Juan, it was announced as a limited series.
Oh.
Lovecraft Country was. They were always extremely public about that. It wasn't until after the first season ended that there was a fan movement on Twitter to try and get it renewed for a second season, and HBO declined to do so. But HBO never presented it as anything other than a limited series based on a novel.
Hold on, I gotta see why my cat is freaking screaming outside my door.
Okay. But in terms of the Watchmen video, I haven't watched your Watchmen video, but for those who are listening to this, it is a good thing for people born into privilege, however meager that privilege may be in their personal life. It's a good thing for them to talk about their journey and their relationship when it comes to bigotry and being the perpetrators of that, because it's something that we don't talk about, and we should. That's our responsibility as white, cisgendered, straight men in our society. That's how you be an ally.
So, yeah, I just wanted to, if you haven't seen this, maybe check it out. It's pretty okay. It's called HBO's Watchmen. It's a beautiful show about legacy and trauma. But like some of the comments here, man, are like, these motivated me for 5 years, you know, like,
wow. How long is the video?
And you know, it's like, it is 26 minutes and a half.
Oh, that's pretty reasonable. Yeah. So it's not your standard leftist video essay that's 3 hours long. It's a
you know, having black people tell me that this is like one of the most sincere appreciation for Black lives I've ever heard is like, whoa.
Wow. Now I have to watch it.
Yeah, the opening clip is basically what it's like arguing with reactionaries. Let me show that just so you guys know what they're talking about. I don't think I've got the audio turned on, but
no, I can't hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything. There was no audio.
I know, but I mean, you didn't really need it, I don't think, to see that
Yeah.
he greased himself up and then slid through a fucking drain.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, what the fuck? Then so, yeah, that's what it is like, mixing it up with reactionaries.
Yeah, I've seen your Hulk one, and I've seen your Spider-Man one, and I've seen your Superman one.
Also another good one.
I watched.
And those are going to be the kind of videos that I'm going to do again, which I'm going to be doing research streams for, I think. So, Oh yeah, the Punisher ones. I forget about those, man. That's crazy. If you haven't seen those, also pretty good, I think.
Looks like I got me some homework to do.
I mean, I'm really happy that this one got 10,000 views. It makes me happy.
Which one is that?
This is just my overall. It's almost an hour and a half of like all my best content about Eric July and like an overall analysis of him as a fucking charlatan, comic book charlatan.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of these.
I hope that lives in his brain rent free forever. I hope so too. It's an albatross around his neck everywhere he goes.
I studied a comic book charlatan for a year, and it says Eric July blazed to the top of the bottom. The Star-Lord videos, this fucking Flash Gordon video is pretty good. It's definitely the first one in the series. The Superman one is the second one, and which those are really the only two of the unofficial series that I've done. in the way that I did them, which was meant to be like a timeline of kind of the history of superheroes and how they influence culture, and culture influences them at the time and stuff like that. Whenever they are introduced. Yeah, good times, man. It's a lot of content, a lot of good times.
So I guess this begs the question: whatever happened to the other Comics Con project?
I mean, I guess I was struggling to justify it as anything other than marketing. Really, to be honest.
I see. Yeah,
like
that's fair,
because it was kind of like what I do already, and and just honestly, to be completely fucking frank, there's just people doing it so well right now that like it felt like me trying harder to keep up or to even have a remote shot at being as good at shit as like Pillar of Garbage or Ant or something like that. And it's like I don't think I need to do that.
Yeah, I gotta give my hats off to Anthony Gramuglia. I haven't watched everything on his channel, but during his research stream, he mentioned that he's put out a video essay every week this year. And I'm like, dude, that is a lot of work. Hats off. Tip of the hat, sir.
Yeah. What's funny is that like, it's kind of weird that he ended up coming on the show and becoming a pal of ours, because like a couple of years ago, I was considering doing a video about this little fucking Twitter gremlin that he doesn't have any existence outside Twitter basically, but he's a comicsgate guy that goes around name searching comicsgate and Van Sciver and stuff, and then like just trolling people, but like in the most disgusting ways. If you've ever kind of engaged about comicsgate on Twitter, then you've probably run into him. And I was going to do like an expose stream where I was like, look at all the shit this guy's fucking done and stuff. And like, and Ant and a few other people who I, kind of referred to as the old guard of comicsgate, who they'd never really been, as far as I knew, they didn't seem to like me very much, because their way of things was always like, leave them alone and don't talk about them because that gives them oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
But if they will just every once in a while respond on Twitter or whatever, kind of snarkily or whatever. And I thought that was kind of pissed me off, but that's all they would do about it. Generally, it's like, it was him and Renfamous and a few others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to have a diversity of tactics. There's a role to be played for people who like to go at them and like debunk their claims.
And then there's a role honestly, I get where they're coming from in the sense that I don't think just anybody should go after them. What pissed me off was that they clearly had not had enough experience with my content to realize that I knew exactly what I was doing and that I wasn't going to just give them what they're looking for, the chuds, right? And I never did. At first, Ethan, a couple others would make streams about me or whatever and trying to get me to fall into their traps or whatever, and I didn't do it because I'd already seen it, and they just basically stopped talking about me. But they kept keeping an eye on me, which I felt like was, says something.
They might be watching right now for all
probably so, man. Hey, Ethan, if you're watching. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know, man. Point being that I'm going to be doing, essays like that again. They're very, they're gratifying personally and like just creatively in a lot of ways. Like, that Superman video, watching that back the other day, whenever I clipped quite a bit of it, to be honest, for that upload on Absolute Superman, I was like, man, I fucking love this video, like unashamed that I did such a good job with it. And that's because I set out to do as good a job as I possibly can. And, I like that. So.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. Let me, thank you I was not saying Ant was a gremlin. No. So me talking about that guy saying I was going to do that stream about that fucking gremlin on YouTube. That's not Ant. Ant and several others kind of called me out on that. And they're like, don't fucking do that. And I was like, but at that point, this dude had actually went back far enough in my Twitter and found where I'd mentioned my daughter. And he was like tweeting about my daughter, saying, oh, he's got a daughter, and like saying kind of creepy shit. And it really, it did what he was trying to do. He set me off. And so, and I got kind of pissed at Ant and them for calling me out on that, saying not to cover him, because I'm like, look, man, y'all don't even know my content. Like it's funny that y'all haven't ever shared anything of mine. You never given me a word of praise or encouragement or anything, but y'all come right out of woodworks whenever it's something like, oh, we got to tell them not to do that. And I just thought that was kind of crappy. And, we exchanged a couple of words. I don't remember. I don't think I was too shitty to him or anything, but then, so the same day that all that shit popped off, where it was like Critical Drinker versus, Ethan Van Sciver and your boy Zach and all that stuff, where we were on stream and we were watching it kind of happen as we were on stream with
that was, I remember that. That was glorious.
That was a crazy day, not just because of that, because after I got off of that stream, I had a message from Ant. It just kind of seemingly randomly, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing, I don't know if I want to announce it too much for him or anything, but he's doing a certain video, and he wanted me to do an interview for it." And I was like, "Oh, what? Really?" And then I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then, after a while, I was thinking, "Wait, does he hate me? Is this a trap? Is he gonna fucking, be like, you contributed a lot of harm to things by talking about comicsgate?" And I actually asked him, I was like, "Hey, is this like a hostile or a friendly interview?" He was like, "Oh no, it's super friendly." He's like, "You've contributed a whole lot of great content, like you've got a lot of wisdom you can impart on this subject." And I was like, "Oh fuck, okay." And was instantly just like, "Hey, do you want to be on our show next week?" And that's how that came about. So yeah,
maybe when he was calling you out, I guess, for giving oxygen to the troll, he didn't know who you were, and then he learned more about your content and saw how.
What I'm thinking it was that because he wasn't making YouTube content then, but he was a writer for, like, I think CBR and some other shit maybe. So he was like writing legit comics journalism stuff, and so I think that's the angle that he had on it.
I see.
Kind of somewhat of an outside angle. If you're not in the YouTube culture and you're kind of seeing some of the stuff play out, you might not realize how it plays out. But since then, of course, obviously he's gotten into it. So, and fucking glad to have him, because he's good.
And ultimately, I assume you did not make a video on the Twitter troll guy. Actually, I don't recall ever seeing anything like that from you.
What I did instead, because that sent me into such a kind of not an existential, but kind of content existential crisis. That was when I stopped. Excuse me. I think it was when I changed my channel name. I think, yeah. And I stopped covering chuds for a while.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say that making a video about a Twitter troll is probably overkill. But if somebody is coming at your family through social media, it is appropriate to put them on blast on your social media by name
to the purpose.
Not do that.
It's not like I was just doing it on just like, look at this Twitter guy, but it was like, he is someone who operates with close ties to the figureheads of comicsgate, and with, it seems to me, with their permission and maybe even encouragement to do what he does. That was more going to be what my, like, look at the shit that he says and the kind of posts that he, the people he harasses, and like seemingly the guys who say we're not, comicsgate isn't about harassment or whatever, they seem to be a-okay with this guy. You know what I mean? That was more going to be the purpose of it. But still,
because there's this thing that a lot of online leftists do in response to that, where they will, it's not just online leftists, but I see it a lot among them, where they will take the tweet or whatever it is that was used to harass them or their family, and they'll put the tweet on blast, but they will blur out the name of the person who did it. And that, in my opinion, is a mistake. You should name and shame these people, and because others will come across them later and not realize it's the same person. And once everyone realizes it's the same person, then collective action can be taken. True. So, I think making a video about the guy probably would have been overkill, but it was definitely appropriate to call him out by name and take screenshots of everything he said and put it on social media somewhere. That tends to be the most effective tactic against people like that.
Screwface, like, I mean, honestly, it's I was just talking to my daughter about this the other day, because she was like, I mean, she's my, kind of my stepdaughter, but like, and her father has passed away, and she was saying that she's not going to get in a fight or anything or something at school, but unless somebody talks about her dad, the one that's passed. And I was like, but why? And I speak to this from experience, because I was somebody who lost my mom around the same age that she lost her dad. And I'm like, but why? If the person doesn't know your father, doesn't know who he was or anything about him, why do you think that fighting that person would be a good response? You know what I mean? Like they're just saying something that they know. All they know is that your dad's dead. And they're saying something shitty about him that isn't possibly, isn't true. They're just saying some shit to antagonize you, to get you to fight them. And in that way, you'd be letting them win instantly. She was like, oh yeah, but like, so if somebody, and I learned this lesson from my mom, it's like, if somebody's like, oh, your mom's, I'm like, yeah, I may have some feelings about it. Cause like, oh, it's my mom. You dug up some feelings on accident. But like, you don't fucking know my mom, man. Now, if somebody who did know my mother, right?
Yeah.
In fact, my dad can account for this because I fucking punched him in the jaw when I was 17 for talking shit about my mom within a year or so after she died. And
yeah.
I'm not going to get too much deeper into my family drama, but yeah, I did fucking sock him in the jaw one time. It was the only time I ever hit my dad, and he like looked at me like, yeah, I probably deserve that. He didn't really flinch too much, but he was like, yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. Good times with domestic violence, guys. So point being,
so Kakistocracy. Let us all welcome our Kakistocrat overlords.
Yeah. Before we do that, here's this. Or maybe while we do this, I don't know.
Ooh. Is this the cello cover?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a well-produced music video.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just something's making my computer fucking laggy. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say the stream is lagging. It might just be too much data. You're throwing too much data at it with this banger video here.
Well, I don't think he's gonna sing anyway, so that's okay. But go check that out.
I like the visuals that I saw, and the music sounded awesome. So
there's a certain type of video that's been popping up lately, and this does lead to the Kakistocracy directly. Type of video that I think a lot of people are watching right now because it's getting pushed in the algorithm. But stuff like this.
How the right is winning young men.
Yeah, just generally like what the fuck happened, what is going on with young men in particular, what is going on as well with like people who, I've got that AOC video that you posted earlier here. Just trying to fucking make sense of things, right?
Yeah.
Gordy, come on, dude. What are you doing, bro? Can't be doing that right now.
Before we watch the video, I will point out that I was just
had this one up from earlier, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, be that as it may, I just want to call out my own generation, Generation X here, because it turns out that Generation X men voted for Trump in much higher numbers than Gen Z did. Gen Z men still voted in surprisingly and unexpected large numbers, but white men of like the Gen X contingent are the ones who put Trump over the top, it appears.
Yeah.
So there's a problem with Gen X men.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone just because silly wordplay is not worth content discussion, really. But it's funny. Yeah, there was a narrative at first that I kind of latched onto as well, that it was suddenly the Zoomers were the ones that kind of came out in force for Trump. And I was like, oh man, we didn't see that coming or whatever. But like, then as you start kind of taking stock of things, it does look like it was you take the mask off, it was like, it was fucking Gen Xers the whole time.
Well, like AOC said in the video I posted, anyone who has a narrative this early after the election should not really be listened to, including AOC, right? Because or us.
Well, I mean, to her credit, that's why she was really just like, she was posted a video asking people, you know, hey, if you voted for, because that's what she was trying to make sense of the people who voted for Trump, but then voted for her, basically.
Yeah.
In the same fucking ballot. Like, it doesn't seem to make any sense. You know, that there is no sense to it, to be honest. Like, there's the only thing
I think there is.
I mean, the explanation would be kind of mixed up messages and not getting full context of certain things before you vote.
Well,
I mean, that's
it's a complex explanation, but I think the core, like I read all of the responses that she got from that question, and the consistent theme among them, which is one she calls out in the video itself, is that there's a lot of anger over the failures of neoliberalism, and people are looking for anyone who they perceive as being outside that system who will destroy it. That none of them said that explicitly, but that was the theme, and that would partially explain why people in AOC's district voted for her so much that she performed better than Kamala Harris did in that district, and then also voted for Trump. Well, because they perceived the Democrats as being the party of the establishment, and they perceived AOC as being an outsider to that system.
We did a stream, I think it was a Shillcast, but I think me and Morgan have talked about it some too, earlier in the year, about, because I started kind of just thinking about, I was kind of looking at a lot of the antagonism that happens on the internet with, like, you know, trolls, both, you know, of the obvious MAGA and far right trolls, and then like even some of the leftist trolls that seem to just be like sowing chaos for chaos's sake, right? And I started wondering, like, I mean, I'm confident that there's a good bit of those alleged leftist trolls that are not actually leftists, you know, because sometimes you can tell. Sometimes they'll reveal something as they're trying to be a leftist troll, and it's like, wait a second, you may be a fucking, you know, I don't know, what do you call it, accelerationist, but like even a leftist accelerationist wouldn't say this, right? And so I started thinking about how much, you know, looking back into how so much of our internet lingo has, you know, these days in common discourse is taken from alt-right shit that was injected into the discourse, you know, 10 years ago. And it kind of fucking really disturbed me to realize that. And I'm like, man, we might be kind of too late. We like this. It seemed like there's just a lot of accelerationist rhetoric, a lot of accelerationism attitudes. You know, there was a lot of it in 2020, and it really bugged me. But this time it started. It just seemed way more, almost even relaxed accelerationism, instead of like forcing it kind of accelerationism.
And this is the prognosticators on the right caught on to this anger over neoliberalism faster than the ones on the left did, and they were able to capitalize on that by sowing fake populism to propel fascism. But the anger at the system is real, and people perceive Trump as an outsider to that system. He isn't actually one, but that's how he's marketed. So, like, it doesn't matter that he's lying. Their attitude is, well, he's lying on our behalf. Right. So I think
which makes sense as to like, well, how so many people could still be for him, because to our minds it's clear that he's lying. So why would you vote for a liar?
Yeah.
Right.
And they know he's lying too. They don't care, because they want somebody to take a wrecking ball to the system that is like forcing them to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet, and taking away their SNAP benefits, and taking away their child tax credits, and driving up the price of eggs and all that other shit, right? And so they perceived Kamala Harris as being a defender of that system, rightly or wrongly. That is what they perceived her as.
Well, one, I'll say this, man, that like, I mean, I don't disagree with you generally. We probably would agree on the finer details if we were to get there, but like I am very hesitant to just jump into the media as being
what is the media? Yeah,
the media is such a bad thing. The media is also what individuals choose to take from it. You know, so it's not just
the
a
media
matter
that,
of like,
the media that really made the difference with younger voters anyway was what we are calling new media. It was podcasts and YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that, which is not the old guard media. The old guard media sucks as well. But so when we say it was the media's fault, I want to know what that doesn't mean anything to me. We have to be far more specific than that.
Yeah, we looked at the other day how Harris was at first she was running ads about working class issues and and even like critical of corporate culture and stuff like that, and how that the corruption essentially of Congress and the government in general with lobbying and stuff, and she started to comment on that stuff during the campaign. But then what was it, her husband's
her brother-in-law. In retrospect, I think here's the two big mistakes I think Kamala Harris made. And again, keep in mind the caveat that we're all dumbasses right now. None of us actually understand what happened. But I think her two big mistakes were listening to her brother-in-law, who is a corporate Democrat, and listening to Joe Biden's advisors, whom she took on roughly halfway through her campaign. And they are the ones who said, stop calling Republicans weird. Start talking about the border, be more right-wing on the border, try to reach out to centrist Republicans who don't exist, but we think they do. So reach out to them. And that's why you saw the change in tone at the Democratic convention, where she went from talking about the care economy and Republicans are weird and stuff like that, and started saying, we want to have the most lethal fighting force in the world. Now, I think that's when the vibes started to change right there, because people saw that on national TV, and what they saw was someone defending the system that they're pissed off about, whether that was her intent or not, and whether that's what she was actually doing. That's what they thought they saw.
I mean, honestly, man, I would say the mainstream media right now is not the first I would aim at with a whole lot of criticism. Sincerely, they did. It's kind of crazy, and just within a few years, because the independent media has gotten so fucking weird, especially
the independent media is the mainstream media. It's generational. More young people get their news from podcasts, YouTube, TikTok.
You
their
can
friends,
still
social
get general
media.
facts from mainstream, as in like corporate news. They're like, I'm talking about NBC, ABC, that kind of shit. Like they're not. They may focus more on this than this, or not enough, or all on certain issues. That's true, but like they were. They're not the ones that are injecting really fucked up narratives into the discourse the way that independent media is.
And independent media is not really independent anymore. The same incentives of capitalism there as exist for like NBC.
Look at the tenant media
CNN.
shit. Tenant media was supposed to be independent thinkers, independent media. They were fucking owned by Russia, man. Like, and that can't be the only fucking example of that. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Look, we're not talking about 2020 or 2016 here.
There was no primary in 20. What are you talking about?
Exactly. That was, and there should have been, because I mean, think about it, man. Like, I mean,
the mistake was Joe Biden didn't drop out of the race at the beginning of the
ideas
race.
are become like hot button issues, and like new ideas are put to the forefront, and like, oh shit, this is exciting, and like this is where you get candidates fighting, even though they're of the same general stripe, they're fighting for the votes from amongst each other, and that it seems like the Democrats see that as a bad thing. They're like, no, we can't have anybody fighting Joe Biden or Hillary. It's stuff like that. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Democratic establishment keeps doubling down on extremely unpopular candidates. Joe Biden, for all the good he did policy-wise, and he did do a lot of good, especially on labor and the environment domestically, was never a popular president. And they all treated him like he was one. And they insisted that the rest of us were crazy for not liking him. And he, rightly or wrongly, he was perceived as reneging on his implied promise to only serve one term and to step aside and usher in a younger generation of Democratic leaders. And then when he didn't do that, people were just saying, okay, fuck this guy.
So here's the thing that I say about like, they need to go further left or whatever. It's like, I definitely don't think they need to appeal to the right the way that they did. And they do need to not appeal to corporatists the way that they tried to, but like appealing to like the more radical left is not a good idea for Democrats.
I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly, because that depends what you mean by the radical left.
Well, I mean, I guess obviously, we're not talking about anarchists and communists.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about social democrats and
right,
even socialists.
Policies like Medicare for all, free college, et cetera, when you poll them blindly without associating them with a particular party, are extremely popular with voters. Like a majority of Republicans, self-identified Republican voters, support Medicare for all or some other kind of universal healthcare system.
I've been saying since Biden ran in 2020 that like, they were calling him a fucking communist and shit. And like,
right.
I mean,
that's the thing.
Like, if they're going to be calling that anyway, you might as well run somebody that's got some more fucking extreme policies, quote unquote.
Exactly. And if there's one lesson to be taken from Trump, it's that the tide has changed, and the way to win elections now is to appeal to your radical base the entire time. The usual strategy used to be, when you're running in a primary, you play to the base of the party, and then when you get the nomination, you shift to the center for the general election. And that strategy doesn't work anymore. The Republicans figured that out faster than the Democrats did.
No, Bernie's not far left.
Yeah, Bernie is not far left.
I mean, he is to idiots, I suppose, but like just objectively as possible speaking, like, no, he's not far left. He is he's pretty left. He's as far left as you can get in American mainstream politics without getting completely alienated, it seems like.
Yeah. Under the Overton window of America, the Overton window of American politics, US politics, Bernie is considered the far left of the Democratic coalition. But in Mexico, he would be a centrist. In any other like European democracy, he would be a centrist. And him and AOC would belong to a different political party from Joe Biden. But we don't have that type of electoral system.
Gavin Newsom is too problematic for what? Like, honestly, if he could have won, then I'd been fine with that. I mean, shit, he's definitely a fucking corporate dick bag. But he's also not he's not afraid to fucking talk some shit and fight against nonsense. That's one thing about Newsom.
That's what I was going to say too. He's a corporate dick bag, but so is Donald Trump. But like Donald Trump, he is willing to be angry in public and to talk shit to people. And that is what the Democrats need, I think. If they want to win again.
Talking about radical left, I mean, what do you mean, man? Like, be more specific. Trying to answer your questions as best I can, but
yeah, I think he might just be trying to clarify, like I was. Like, what do you mean when you say that the Democrats should not play to the radical left?
What I mean is that okay, so the people that are calling for I don't know, man. My brain honestly has tried to like disengage from this stuff pretty hard since the election. So I'm trying to think back on it. It's actually kind of painful. But like, trying to think of what it was that. There's what I mean is that the people who are online. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. The ones that we don't need to listen to, and everybody should shut the fuck out. Are these people that they somehow get a lot of clout, they get a lot of discourse room sometimes, they're like the communist type folks, man. Like, I mean, just generally the people that want to just throw out the system altogether kind of shit and burn it down and that kind of, like, obviously no establishment politician is going to cater to that, but like there's just
I think an establishment politician who catered to that rhetoric without using the jargon of that without saying communism or socialism or anything like that. But that was the sentiment they expressed, the way Bernie does, but more radical. I think that politician could go a long way in the current climate.
Yeah. And no, I don't mean fucking trans issues. Absolutely fucking not. That's not even a radical. That's a human rights issue. I do not believe that we should even consider fucking moving off of a human rights issue. Sorry. Just want to clarify that.
Yeah, I agree completely, 100%. But people are pissed at the system. And what they're looking for is an FDR Democrat who's going to say, I welcome their hatred. Right? That's one of the things FDR is famous for. He was part of the moneyed class. He was, he was super rich. He was from old money, but he promoted a populist agenda. And when people came at him and said, look, conservatives are going to hate this, he said, fine, let them hate me. I welcome their hatred. And that's the energy people are looking for.
Silly take there. But like, no, so look, the people on the left, ostensibly on the left, or Democrats or whatever, that voted for Trump, or we're just like, fuck it, let Trump happen, because they want the system to come down or whatever. Look, maybe you'll get your way, because this is not good. This stack of names here, stack of people that we're looking at. Now back to Kakistocracy. Let's see. Elise Stefanik, just the biggest fucking Trump sycophant. It's disturbing. I don't know much about her beyond that. I just know that she's been up his ass every step of the way, and that can't.
She was the one who, if I recall correctly, she was the one who yelled at the president of Harvard or Yale in a congressional hearing about DEI hiring.
Yeah.
Or no, it was about
one of those things. Was it the one that got fired for plagiarism or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Elise Stefanik is the one who led that charge. It was about Zionism. She was like calling that woman an anti-Semite because she let pro-Palestine students demonstrate on campus. That's who Elise Stefanik is.
No, I want to make something clear. Thank you I'm glad we finally got here, Juan, because I want to make something very clear. Anytime you encounter somebody that's saying we need to, this, they're not talking about, they're not honest actors. They're just trying to get any common sense Democrat, even, kind of policies to be downplayed. Green New Deal, not super radical, man. The fact that anybody thinks it's a success in right-wing marketing, essentially. Trans issues, and integration, healthcare, all these things are things that in, essentially every other country, they're ahead of us. They're not radical. We're fucking archaic is what we are. Anyway, so moving on to Mike Waltz. What's he about?
He is what is he nominated for?
Ambassador to United Nations.
No, that's Elise Stefanik.
So that's actually Stefanik. He was a national, and none of them are actually nominated yet. I don't think none of this is actually official. It's just who Trump's floated so far. National security.
He's national. Okay, yeah. So he is a Cheney stan. He's a neocon. He's one of the people that wanted us to invade Iraq and wants to go to war with Iran.
Yeah, I mean, comedian. However, I know what you're responding to with this, and I just am going to have to push back on what you're saying there, because yeah, they do, but at least there is a system. We know what would happen if we were to just say, all right, tomorrow we're doing the overthrow of neoliberal capitalism or whatever, and we somehow managed to do that, which is silly on its face. We know who would take power. It wouldn't be us. It would be the people that are far more ready to do violence and have the means and the instruments to do far more violence than we are and have. That's it. So saying burn it all down and we can start building it up, that's a naive and silly thing, and you would literally be consigning First to go would be old people. Next to go pretty soon after that would be, queer people, disabled
people. Yeah.
Indigenous
people.
Months, we would have a genocide of all of these types of people just by virtue of like not having any systems to take care of them. So yeah, people die in the systems that we have. And that's, it's not defending these systems. I'm defending having no system in place of the shitty systems.
Well, I think the strategy is to build dual power and mutual aid networks, and look for places to plant seeds that can sprout when the system inevitably falls. Because every system contains within itself the seeds of its own destruction. And when the natural contradictions of that system become too pronounced, it will collapse under its own weight. And the job of the left is to be ready to have a network in place to help people when that happens. And from that can hopefully arise more improved systems. But
Indeed.
The strategy of burning it all down on purpose has never worked out for the benefit of the left or of the common people generally. I am unaware of any historical example of burning down the entire system that did not almost immediately lead to authoritarianism.
Yeah, we need to be we need to start, if we're not already, we need to be having establishing networks, mutual aid networks, communication networks, resistance networks, even. And then, as we see, the system is almost certainly going to be, I mean, look, from what I can tell, Musk and Trump have determined that they're going to force a recession next year.
Yeah.
That's just probably certainly going to happen. And when you've got people like that making those kinds of decisions, the system is not long for this world. It's looking kind of grim.
No one knows the future. We don't know what's going to happen. Initial conditions could change, or underlying conditions could change radically. I mean, I just want to remind people, as Jon Stewart did, that in 1984, Ronald Reagan won every single American state except, I think, Minnesota. It was a true landslide, and people at the time freaked out and thought fascism was right around the corner. 8 years later, we had a Democratic majority in the Congress and a Democratic president.
And hey, man, look at it this way: we also had some of the best fucking movies you've ever seen come out in that period. Sorry, RoboCop, my man, RoboCop. Come on now. So moving on to here's some more familiar names. Like, look, man, this is fucking insanity. Like, this is the most insane shit that you could possibly do, is even float the idea of Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Like, that's almost like you're just trying to be as cartoonishly evil as you possibly can.
That's got to be a troll. Like, I saw that one and like, okay, they're trolling us now.
Well, so when you think about this, Matt Gaetz won this race that he just had. He won. I think it's I don't remember which Congress it is that he's 217th. I don't remember, but he won. And then as soon as Trump said this, he said he fucking resigned. Now, why is that? Why would the guy have run and then won? And then as soon as he's not officially nominated, and if he is nominated, he might not get through. He probably will, but there's a chance he might not. Why would he resign this? Because it's almost certain that maybe, what is it, today, Saturday? Probably Monday, the House Ethics Committee is going to come out with their fucking report, or they would have. That's the thing. They're trying to figure out if they still can now, because he's no longer a congressman. And they don't have any fucking jurisdiction over someone who's not a congressman. So the ethics community, and I'm talking about the stuff that the Justice Department decided not to file charges or pursue charges on, the trafficking of a minor and all this other shit that he was, on the hook for. But the House Ethics Committee seems to probably have found some shit. Now it's probably not going to see the light of day, because he played this move. He's a shrewd motherfucker. He's a fucking snake. Goddamn, he's a stupid. I mean, I don't want to say stupid piece of shit, but he is a piece of shit. So hopefully, maybe that was the whole play. Maybe that was it. Maybe he doesn't want to be fucking, Secretary, Attorney General. Maybe he doesn't want that, and they're just gonna like now that he's out and there's not gonna be any charges coming out about him or anything. He's just gonna move on and do some other stupid shit. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's even going to be hearings to approve any of this, because Trump is trying to get them to take a recess and let him appoint everybody in recess appointments, which is a thing where a president can appoint somebody without congressional approval.
That's going to be that's a real bad sign if he does that. A real bad sign of like the brazen nature with which he's going to start making authoritarian choices. Because it's like he's going to be using the system, he's going to be using the way the system can operate in order to do things that are just completely unprecedented like that, right?
Yeah. And that's a sign. It's a test of how much they want to bend the knee to Trump, if they do that or not. Because Matt Gaetz is not well liked by the Republicans at all. They hate his guts.
Won, man. I mean, Florida, I guess, but
well, Florida is weird. I'm from Matt Gaetz's congressional district, and he was not my congressman when I lived there. I left there long before he was elected, but it's totally in character for that district to elect him. He's from an old political family there. So a lot of what he has now is nepotism.
True.
At work. And but he's such a creep that the rest of the Republicans hate his guts. And so I think they will demand to have hearings just because of that, because the ethics report was about to be released.
Yeah.
And the New York Times reported that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And there was a report of the New York Times which quoted one of the lawyers involved in the ethics investigation. And the quote was, "She was a high school student and there are witnesses." So,
cool.
Yeah, cool. So that's why I saw that. I was like, come on, Trump is just fucking with us right now. But what he's doing is picking people who are going to say yes to him, to everything he wants.
Well, and you've got to think if it is legit, even if it's not right now, there is a teenage girl that must feel like the fucking world hates her, Yeah. Like more so than probably many individuals have felt in existence. Of just like, holy shit, this whole, not just, oh my God, like, it's crazy. And, I will say this, it is fucking funny to me. It's also fucked up and scary, but it's funny to me that he wants to have, Musk and was it Vivek as like co-chairs of the Department of Efficiency.
Yes.
And that's what's like, are you fucking with us, man? Are you fucking trolling? It seemed like, how can you?
Yeah. I have kind of a different take on that than I originally did. At first I was a little worried about that, but now I realize that the Department of Government Efficiency, abbreviated DOGE, is not going to be an actual government agency. It's an outside consultancy firm.
Well, what it would be, it would be kind of like the way Ike Perlmutter was part of this shadow fucking department that headed up the VA during his first administration.
Right. No. I think what it is this is Trump giving Musk something to make him go away, to make him happy and make him go away. This is the kind of thing. This is like the project that the boss gives to the annoying fuckstick who's a bootlicker at work and won't leave him alone. So he makes up a fake.
You don't think that Trump fucking appreciates the shit out of Musk right now?
No, I don't. Trump doesn't appreciate the shit out of anybody. And there's already reports coming out of Mar-a-Lago that they cannot get Elon Musk to leave, and they really want him to leave. He's already annoying the shit out of him. So I think that the Department of Government Efficiency might, and I stress, might be something that Trump is throwing to them, to Vivek and Musk, to like keep them distracted and make them happy and stay out of his way.
I don't know. You're telling me this guy is what, socially awkward or something?
USA! Wah! Yes!
I don't believe it. I just don't buy it.
See, I think Trump's thing is to see how far his supporters will go to embarrass themselves publicly in his defense. He gets off on humiliating people, I think. So I think that's what he's doing with Elon Musk. Now, the thing they're doing with Elon Musk and Vivek could still cause a lot of damage. But I don't think they're going to be as bad as everyone thinks they are, because I don't think Trump will listen to them very much. They're going to come up with a bunch of crazy proposals to like dismantle Medicare in 6 months, or like abolish Social Security or some shit like that. And Trump will go, "Thank you very much," and then do nothing with it.
I want to introduce you guys to it because I want to do this every stream, and this is something I challenge anybody that's a YouTuber or especially streamer to do. Every stream, introduce your audience to somebody new, another content creator that's new. It doesn't have to necessarily be somebody that you're, platforming. They're smaller than you, but that's always good, of course. But like, just somebody that maybe you think that people aren't aware of yet. This channel, I've been finding a good bit of value in since before the election, but especially since.
Dark Brandon.
Dark Brandon. And he does, let's see. Like, so here's just good questions, and then he talks about them, and then he does these other kind of more comedic things and whatnot. But like, let's see if I can find a quick one. I think I have audio turned on now. So,
hi, welcome. My name's Lisa. I'm in the HR department. Please have a seat. So I have your job application right here. It looks like you're applying to be a yoga instructor at one of our meditation retreats. That's fantastic. It looks like you have zero experience with that, but that's okay. I am noticing one issue right here. It does look like you've checked this box next to, do you have any felonies? I'd like to learn a little bit more about that.
Well, let's see. There's a lot to unpack there. Let's see. 12 jurors, 12 of my peers found me liable for following a woman into a dressing room and sexually assaulting her. And then I got 34 felonies for falsifying business records. And that's something another court found that I consistently did, is I consistently committed fraud. And then there was another court that said I took home confidential documents and didn't return them, and I was asked multiple times to do so. And then I was caught red-handed with those documents. What else? Oh, yeah. I also started an insurrection and tried to overthrow the government. There's got to be more, though. Let me think. What else did I do? Who knows? I'm sure I'll do some more shit in just a little bit of time. Just add it to my check, please.
Well, Donald, after looking everything over, you look like you're a great fit for this organization, and we're going to continue with the next steps.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, this is more the videos that I think are pretty valuable. Is just he's having these discussions and
explain to me how democracy's discontent will manifest in the election.
In two ways. First, the people feel that they don't have a meaningful say in how they're governed. It's really a crisis of self-government. People feel overwhelmingly that they're...
And I'm pretty sure that a lot of this there's some of this done with AI shit, but I mean, I don't know. I've still found it to be kind of valuable, to be honest.
Is this guy supposed to be Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I think so. Yeah.
Because that's who he sounds like.
Anyway, I mean, honestly, it's not even white privilege, man. It's just like fucking rich privilege. And in a lot of ways.
It's both.
But it's
both, but it's
a cool ass fucking profile picture you got there, dude. That's cool. I like that. Anyway. What was I gonna say next? I don't know. There's this other stuff that I'd wanted to talk about as like maybe a Fapcast thing, but I think it'll probably be a what we bring up on, or I'm gonna bring it up on the Shillcast next week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's there's been some stuff floated about entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Like
we might be getting a new Hays Code
via the rap. And they're frustrating outlet to read because I was like trying to figure out, are they fucking with me? Are they like right wingers? They're not. They're really as almost as frustratingly straight down the middle as you can get.
Yeah, they're a knockoff of like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Weekly, that kind of stuff.
They're like those with more editorializing, but yeah.
Yeah.
So this article, Hollywood braces for a woke backlash in the wake of Trump's election. And then while a shift was already underway, which that right there, I was like, is that even really true? I don't know. Like it's easy to see that like the defenses or arguments we've made about this stuff in, like the Shillcast is that it's not the wokeness that's causing, things to not do as well in theaters and whatnot. And I don't believe it is. I still don't believe that's the case. It's been the goddamn changing of, how people consume media.
Yeah.
And if there is anything about the specific characters that are like, for instance, are being introduced in the MCU, if there is something about that is relevant to diminishing returns, it's only that, or by and large that, these are characters that are relatively new to mainstream audiences, whereas, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, all this stuff, they've been around for fucking decades, man. Like people have been waiting for these movies for a long time. And now that kind of generation of those movies is pretty much over. And so it kind of makes sense that you wouldn't get the same butts in the seat for, Shang-Chi or whatever. You know, Shang-Chi did pretty goddamn well during the pandemic. So
yes, it did. It did really well.
Do as well as Spider-Man Far From Home. So, or No Way Home. So people are like, oh.
Yeah.
But,
well, another point you guys have made on your show is that so-called wokeness isn't a thing in Hollywood. They're doing the diversity thing for money. And as long as they think it will make them money, they'll do it. So it's a trend in production, in content creation. It's not an ideological commitment of any kind. And it mostly started from the research I did on this a couple of years ago. It mostly started because of the Fast and the Furious franchise. One of those films, I think the sixth one, made in the year that it was released, made the Fast and the franchise one of the Fast and the Furious, franchise, one of the 5 most profitable movie franchises ever. Yeah. And it's probably dropped out of the top 5 now. But they did a bunch of studies around 2016 or so and found that film in general, when marketing to a global audience, films that had 50% or more non-white casts were just as profitable as ones that had majority white casts. So they just started making more of those movies. Yeah. And if the economic trends go any other way, they will stop making them.
Well, what bothers me about some of the quotes that they're getting in like this article is like the shift away from wokeness. All right, whatever, fine. We know that Hollywood loves to follow and not lead, which I don't even know that that's true. But I mean, it sure, obviously it is in some cases, but it's also, in a lot of ways, having certain perspectives represented in movies is done before a lot of people have that experience with certain perspectives in their real life.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, but anyway, so this one, it's very likely you'll see more of Jake Paul, more of Joe Rogan, more of Zachary Levi, more of Roseanne Barr.
No, maybe more of Jake Paul, because Jake Paul is much younger than those people.
Did he beat that old man up?
He did not beat him up, but he won by decision.
Oh, stupid.
Yeah.
He did not get his ass kicked pretty bad, or what?
No, he did not.
Oh, man.
Which is a shame, because I wanted both of them to lose, but I also wanted to see Jake Paul find out, and I did not get either of those. Such is the duality of man, I guess.
So, but was really weird to read in this is that suddenly, like, a new Hays Code was something that was brought up in here, so these studios should not be surprised when they get a knock at the door and they'll find out there's going to be a new code for movies and television shows that are going to be broadcast nationally, referring to Hollywood's self-imposed Hays Code from which severely restrict profanity, suggestive. I mean, I just don't see that as being, I fucking hope not, something that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get something that explicit, but I do think studios will be much more gun shy about diversity.
Yeah.
Going down now, there's a lot of the projects we're going to be seeing released over the next 2 years were already in the can 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lagging indicator, but I think that if things keep going the way they are in Washington, the billionaires who run Hollywood will be more gun shy about doing the diversity thing, because their interest is to remain billionaires and not to make good content for the masses. So you mentioned Ike Perlmutter a little while ago. He was also the main reason that the MCU took so long to start making movies like Black Panther and Black Widow, because he was running them. I forget his exact position in Disney, but he was basically the guy.
Well, he was explicitly CEO, essentially. He was over everything.
Yeah, and he explicitly said, "We will make no films that do not have white men as the star."
And then, I've got the history or the story of Marvel Studios books, which are incredible fucking two books. And it goes into detail about the kind of battle that led to his, no longer having any power over the creative aspect of things. So that all took place ironically during the Civil War production.
Yeah. And didn't Kevin Feige go around him in some way or go over his head in some way?
Kevin Feige went to I don't know if it was it Bob Iger then that was the head of things?
Yeah, it was Bob Iger, I think.
He went to Iger and said, he essentially said he's going to quit if they can't make Civil War the way they want it, because Perlmutter said, no, we don't want to. He said, we want to have the bad guys and the good guys, they're going to fight, but then they're going to come together and they're going to fight a whole bunch of winter soldiers at the end. That was what he said that the ending was going to be. And then by the end, they're all going to be made up and everything's okay again. That they're going to fight a bunch of winter soldiers. Right. And then there also wasn't going to be the emphasis on Black Panther in that movie that there was, which was obviously done to set up the Black Panther movie. And Feige was like, no, man, that's exactly what we're trying not to do with this. We don't want to, that's the story people are expecting. We're not going to do that. And he went to Bob Iger and said, look, if we can't make the movies we want to make, then, basically, I'm sure that the implication being that there's plenty of studios out there that are willing to hire me, Kevin Feige. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, Iger was like, yeah. So they basically just carved out Perlmutter having any creative control over the shit. And, that's why it's extra, the meta layer of whenever because I think everybody, when you first saw Civil War, they go into that compound and you're expecting them to fight the fucking Winter Soldier squad. Right. Mm-hmm. But they're all just shot in the head. They're fucking dead, and it's like there's a little bit of meta fuck you there, I think, to that.
Yeah. And this trend, the trend away from so-called wokeness started long before the election. Bob Iger himself was talking about a new direction when he came back to Disney earlier this year, maybe late last year.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the event he was at, but you can go watch it on YouTube where he's
after the Marvels came out.
Yeah. He was talking about how we still value diversity, but we're going to put good storytelling first. Words to that effect, which is a dumb thing to say because most of the movies Marvel's made are pretty good stories, in my opinion, regardless.
Yeah.
But that's when it started, and it had nothing to do with Trump. But Trump's going to take credit for it.
They seized on that, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got some more Jezel Nick here, by the way. Just Because why not?
Anthony Jeselnik?
You drop a baby in America today, I swear, people hit the roof before the baby even touches the floor. And it's not a big deal. How do I know? Because I do it all the time. In fact, I don't think I've ever held a baby to completion.
Wait, got one more.
My friends and I got arrested for vandalizing a graveyard. $10,000 in damages.
That's a good one.
But we had a great lawyer who knocked it down to criminal trespassing and necrophilia.
That's how it's done. We need more guys out there like that. By the way, I see a lot of people saying, well, who's the leftist Joe Rogan? I mean, he could be if we make him that, you know?
Mm-hmm. But that's the wrong question. There is no leftist Joe Rogan, and there never can be one, because the systems of the incentives that create Joe Rogan are not there to create a leftist equivalent.
Well, I mean,
the reason Joe Rogan is right wing.
Joe Rogan about 10 years ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
I saw a compilation going around not long ago. It was like him with all these fucking based ass lefty positions. Just, you know, like, what happened to those, Joe? Oh, money. I see.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's money, and it's also the fact that he's not. I don't want to say he's dumb, but he's not. He's not really. He's incurious. Yeah. So he just believes whatever the last person he talked to believes.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Mark, because yeah, that is fucking awesome. You
Yes.
know, if this is indeed the Kakistocracy that is going to be the beginning of the end of everything, then at least we will have seriously probably some of the best satire we've ever fucking had.
This is the funniest thing The Onion has ever done, and that's a very high bar.
And if anybody not aware of what this is about, because I'm happy to go over it with you. I haven't even really looked into it myself. I just kind of saw headlines generally, but
so as I understand it, what happened was Alex Jones got sued by the Sandy Hook families because the harassment he unleashed against them really messed them up. One of them unalived himself because of the mental health consequences and all sorts of stuff. So basically these people have been hounded by trolls for 10 years now, claiming that the Sandy Hook shooting was fake. And so they sued Alex Jones and they won. And Alex Jones had
$1 billion, I believe, right? Was the reward.
Yeah.
Which,
so they basically
doesn't have quite $1 billion, I don't think.
No. So they basically own his ass for the rest of his life. And he was not paying them.
So the judge ordered him to liquidate, the holdings and everything around that, which I think his father owned in the first place. But then a hero emerged in The Onion. The Onion CEO Ben Collins confirmed that the publication purchased Alex Jones' InfoWars outlet in a Saturday series of posts on the social media platform Blue Sky, amid Jones's claims of wrongdoings and illegal activity. I just wanted to give a quick update on the Onion's purchase of InfoWars, which we can't wait to relaunch as the dumbest website on the internet.
Ironic, because it's already the dumbest.
The long and short of it, we won an auction, and you're not going to believe this. The previous InfoWars folks aren't taking it well. He shared that the Onion, a satirical news website, won the bid for InfoWars on Thursday at Jones's bankruptcy auction, along with Connecticut Sandy Hook's families of victims. Jones previously said the massacre was a hoax. He's held liable for nearly $1.5 billion in damage due to his false claims. The families moved to liquidate his business and take over his social media accounts, which was granted by a judge in September. Throughout their efforts to acquire Jones's platforms, it's just fucking hilarious. He recently claimed that the auction for the InfoWars site was changed from a regular auction to a secret auction 2 days before it occurred. He also said that higher bidders were prevented from submitting offers so that lower bid could be accepted. Jones also claimed that the presiding judge admitted the auction was not real and that there are ongoing investigations about the mishandling of bids. Collins denied those claims and shared that Jones was permitted to continue operating InfoWars until the sale is complete, and that Jones has used the platform as an opportunity to fundraise and spread misinformation about the auction winners. We expected all of this, obviously. Buying the site was always going to be fun later on, but annoying right away. The fun part is still to come. He then added the Onion was looking forward to completing the sale at a court hearing from what will take place. It will take place a week from Monday.
Yeah. So they got everything. Like they got the mailing lists. They have the right to all the InfoWars IP and all Alex Jones IP. They took him to the cleaners. And he's going to go and try and start his own another venture on Twitter, I think, called the Alex Jones Network. And they will own that too. He doesn't seem to understand that he is fucked. Because he cannot go off and start a separate income stream because he has to meet that judgment. So any money he makes until he reaches $1.5 billion belongs to them. I don't think that's quite settled in for him yet, but it's going to be gloriously fun to watch.
Oh yeah. He's probably going to have one of the best Alex Jones meltdowns ever, but who will be able to see it? Probably nobody.
Well, they have his studio. Like he's super rich, and like that big fancy studio he has, they own that now. They can use it. They have his entire infrastructure. They can start like sending, like, because a lot of his audience are not going to know that this happened, so they can start using the mailing lists to start trolling his followers. And they won't understand what's happening to them.
Do you think that they could use disinformation in the name of good in this way?
They probably could, but they've never done that before.
Right. Yeah. That's probably. I mean, they've ironically stayed ethical within the bounds of journalistic ethics, even, because as long as you're clearly satire, you're fine.
And most of their jokes are just them saying the thing out loud that we all know is true anyway.
It wasn't always that though. It wasn't. They used to have to work harder for fucking headlines.
Yeah.
Go back.
They used to be an actual newspaper.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this kind of thing would be amazing. Yeah. Just that kind of. I don't like it that there's a 3-1, but okay. I don't know what that means, man.
I don't know what that means.
So Onion is something. It sure is. It is a thing that exists. Anyway,
I mean, the onion sale is that's the silver lining to all of this. We may be descending into fascism and not even getting uniforms out of it, but at least we will have the Onion out there doing fake InfoWars, and we'll be in on the joke.
Yep. Oh man. One name that we forgot to mention, or I forgot to mention when we talked about the this Kakistocracy, is really kind of the more concerning one, honestly, maybe than any of them. When you know her history and you know who she seems to be kind of operated by. Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard? Oh, I thought you were going to say RFK Jr.
He's very concerning too. Yes.
Yeah.
He's actually personally speaking, somebody who's essentially suggested that the eradication of autism is a desired goal. Has me a little bit concerned for myself, but
yeah. Oh, don't worry. He's just going to send you to a wellness camp.
I think I'll be okay. I'm just going to stop saying I'm autistic, basically. What now?
He's just going to send you to a wellness camp.
Right. Yeah. And like the Jews were sent to wellness camps. Tulsi Gabbard as attorney, Secretary of State. I mean, that's not good.
No,
right?
It's not at all.
She is, for one thing, she may be Putin operated, maybe, but she's definitely a fucking puppet of Modi.
Mm-hmm.
We did a fat cast on her, and like her history is fucking concerning, man. Like she seems to be a plant that has been planted early on, like basically any spot that whoever's handling her decided this is where you can do the most damage if you run on this election on this topic. And so most of the time that's been a Democrat, but as soon as that became inconvenient, she was done. She's just, oh, I'm a Republican now. I'm on Fox News. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think for her, it's probably more of a Blaze Media situation where this is stuff she would do anyway, and they don't really have to nudge her very much. So they just decided to.
Well, what I mean is that, like, the
behind
cult
her.
that she was brought up in.
Yeah.
She was brought up in a literal cult that is like,
and she's still a member of it too.
Yeah, and one of the practices that they have been known to do, and been the people that have escaped that cult have reported, is to show pornography to kids, to show them gay pornography. In fact, to show them how evil it is, for the gay people are evil, and so like that is something that they do because it's an offshoot of kind of an offshoot religion of I guess.
Hinduism, I think.
Hinduism, but it's just this one guy. So it's a cult. This one guy that has adopted it and taken it and made it his own thing almost entirely, where everybody just worships him and what he's about. And he's an abusive guy. He's a piece of shit. And yeah, she's still part of that religion. And there's like, she anytime somebody would bring it up, she's like, oh, going after my Hindu faith. And it's like, you're not really the Hindu, are you though, Tulsi? That's not what you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Several levels of yikes, exactly.
Yeah, several levels of yikes. And she does, her job is to do psyops for the US government. That's her official, she's in psychological operations. And, just having somebody like that.
She's definitely the best way to describe her is a chaos agent. Yeah. She might be. I mean, Hillary did say that one time, and I don't know what evidence she might have that she hasn't shared with us, but I would not be surprised. But I also don't know.
But that's the thing. She doesn't need to be a Russian asset. She's already advancing their goals anyway. These are things she would do on her own.
But the thing is, as we know now, if you're already doing that on your own, Russia will extend an offer to you in some cases.
Yes. That would, I guess, technically make her a Russian asset. But when I hear people say Russian asset, what that makes me think is this is someone who was bought, whose loyalties changed because they had enough money waved in front of them.
We need to kind of update our idea of what a Russian asset is in that regard, though. Because when you think about this, I hate to say this, guys, but like, there's a great deal of fucking Vladimir Putin influence that's going to be in our government very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A great deal, and it probably maybe never fully known to what degree. Hopefully we'll figure out and do something about it somehow or something, but like, it's not good, man. Not good. So start, I'm not one to be an alarmist, but I would just start kind of like, I don't know, securing your bag best you can and looking at options and stuff like that. We'll be talking about that going forward. I'm going to have a list of resources. I should have had that ready today, and I didn't. A list of resources that just in general for things that you can check out. I'm going to be sharing that every stream that I'm on from going forward. I have like a document or something where you can find those links. So anyway, it's now 2 hours. On that happy note, it's not a happy note. It's kind of sad. It's kind of scary a little bit.
On a happy note, the Onion bought on InfoWars.
Right. On that note, it's a good one. Good note to have. And then let's see what else I got here. Could have sworn I downloaded some fun stuff, maybe. Oh yeah, the Shillies. We're gonna be talking more about that on Wednesday, I think.
Oh, okay.
We should have where like official start of voting for, or at least nominating, where you can go to nominate, content creator, videos, stuff like that. And then that is going to be on the 26th, I believe. It's going to be later in the day. I've already okayed that with Mr. Early Riser, Turf Nation. So he will be available to do a later stream than usual that day. So Bob, I don't know if you might be available later, but
depends what you mean by later.
I really don't know. It might be just a couple hours later than normal. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same time zone you are. And
right.
Yeah. So like later for him is different than, like, I'm usually still at work for your entire streams when you do the Shillcast, and a couple of hours later would just be like, that's when I'm getting off work and going home. So it'll depend.
Okay.
But I might be nominated for things, so maybe I should recuse myself from the process.
I think you're going to be nominated. And I mean, really, I hate to spoil it, but nominees are just winners. You know, I think it's safe to say that if we're mentioning you, you're already a shilly winner.
Well, on behalf of shills everywhere, I will write an acceptance speech, I guess.
I wonder if we could get some chud to accept on behalf of the chuds that we're going to be covering.
That would be funny.
I don't know who it would be. I mean, the closest I could. Never mind. I'm not going to do that to him. I was going to say Matt Jarbo, but I'm not going to fucking call. He's not a chud. He's not. But you know, he's got his foot in that crowd a little bit. So
yeah. That's the thing. That crowd is getting so big in terms of their media footprint.
It's hard not to. Yeah.
The gravity of the gravitational pull of that is just drawing in other content creators who weren't that, but they're making a calculation that that's a slice of the audience that they don't have access to, and they want more access and more clout. So they're going to start pandering to them.
Yeah.
Because like you pointed out earlier in the week, I think like part of the reason the Chud apocalypse is happening is that a lot of those guys have explicitly political side channels and their audience moved over there. And the space that was left behind by that in the pop culture commentary of the anti-woke bubble that collapsed is now seen by some content creators like, say, Jeremy Johns, maybe, as an opportunity for them to expand their influence and footprint in popular media commentary. So we're going to see more mainstream people like Jeremy Johns move in that direction to fill that void.
Well, I'm gonna before we get out of here, I want to finish off this Marlon Wayans video just because it's pretty good, and I stopped it earlier, and it's got a good ending to it. I think that I did a little edit too, just to make it funner.
Oh, is this the one where he's talking about his trans?
I was embarrassed the moment I was forced to look in the mirror. I was embarrassed, and it only took me a week.
About your behavior?
Yeah,
it took you a week to realize like you're doing this wrong.
The transition for me, because their transition was like a 3-year process, 4-year process.
Yeah,
my transition was a week. One hard week. And I will say, I got to a beautiful place called acceptance. And I pray for a lot of parents, family members, and, just public, right? People in general.
Yeah.
It's not on us to judge anybody, right?
Right.
It's, hey man, live your life. And I tell my child, listen,
I just want to say what he's talked about, like that takes a lot of like personal growth, and that's not even necessarily that's not an easy thing for a person to do. And the fact that he's so honest about it is pretty fucking Chad, frankly. This is Chad behavior right here.
Hearing, thinking about how he first described it and like how he was talking about you can't control it. That's kind of the wisdom that you almost only get by making the mistake of trying in the first place. You know what I mean? Like you can't, and then realizing that's not the fucking way to go. Like I mean, honestly, it's awesome. I wish he was going around doing way more spots talking to people about this stuff, to be honest. But I'm going to be looking out for him for sure, seeing what he's got going on. I know that he's had like a stand-up special pretty recently that I just kind of didn't watch, and maybe I will now. So
yeah, I Marlon Wayans has not been somebody I don't like dislike him, but I've never really watched him. But just kind of what I've seen from him recently, it's been like, I don't know where he's at on comedy, but as far as just personal growth, he seems like a really base dude.
He had some, in my mind, he's got some iconic stuff from the early 90s with like In Living Color and shit like that, that he was doing. I mean, in fact, he was doing.
Did he do In Living Color? I thought he was too young for that.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was the younger
okay,
brother.
well, it's just like all the other Wayans then.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
it was a lot of
definitely
the other Wayans, yeah.
he was definitely what's his name in this in Don't Be a Menace to South Central or Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, which that character then transferred over to the Scary Movie franchise. A lot of people don't realize
check that now I'm getting a little bit confused.
Oh yeah, and of course the iconic Dungeons and Dragons.
that was the good Dungeons and Dragons too. Don't listen to that. Right. Don't watch that Chris Pine shit. Watch the Justin Whalen Marlon Dungeons and Dragons.
Dude, y'all remember I'm Gonna Get You,
the movie
Sucker?
That made me so scared to watch that other one.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. Fucking crazy shit, man. I remember that was like probably honestly no shit. That was probably my introduction to like, you know, just kind of black culture at all, period. You know, like of like these funny ass black dudes, you know, like I was like fucking enthralled by some of that shit. It was hilarious. As an educator, a lot of this ability to change your mind is connected to having a fixed versus a growth mindset. Shit.
So he wasn't in Living Color. He just wasn't one of the main players.
Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, he was the one that kind of, I think him and I guess it was him and Marlon were the ones that, I'm sorry, Damon Wayans were the ones that fucking really blew up outside of that too. Yeah, these kids didn't have anything like fucking In Living Color, man. Poor kids.
Yeah. The world would be better if In Living Color was still on the air right now. True.
Favorite Marlon Wayans movie? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what all they would be.
For me, it's gotta be the first scary movie, right?
Yeah. The first or the second one, or you know, Don't Be a Menace to South Central was also fucking funny. I remember that. I used a clip from that. I don't know if you noticed this in our Critical Drinker video, when the scene where it talks about in the part where I think it's you talking about James Bond and his wife that got killed back in that movie.
Bond marries her at the end of the movie. He decides he is done with the womanizing and will be happy with her for the rest of his life. That is, until Blofeld's men pop up and assassinate him.
Break yourself!
I couldn't help it. It's funny. Anyway. So
we need more comedians like Damon Wayans and Anthony Jeselnik. How do you say his name? We need more of them to have their own podcasts. I'm sure both of them do have podcasts.
Say stuff like this.
Everybody was a very depressed woman. My mom was so depressed. She had the words, "In case of an accident, please do not resuscitate," tattooed across all of her children.
Is he the one that made the joke about chivalry a few years ago? Where the joke was that there are a lot of women who are complaining that men are no longer chivalrous, and he decided to look up chivalry because he wanted to be more chivalrous, and he found out that it's actually an ancient code of combat ethics.
I don't remember
the way you treat women is like just kind of peripheral to that. And so the joke was that he decided to be more chivalrous, and he failed to open a door for some woman, and she complained about chivalry, and he said, and the punchline was, "I don't know if chivalry is dead or not, but I do know that woman is," because she challenged her to a duel.
That does sound like exactly like one of the jokes, to be honest. But like, yeah, he's got a podcast with this other guy.
Yeah,
you know,
Jeselnik and Rosenthal.
I only watched the beginning of this one, but like this is the first one they did back after, I guess it's been 6 months or something, but like, or a couple months rather. And so this is after the election, and they came back and they're like, he's making jokes about how like, look, man, we tried to sway the election, you know, and I want to show you a little bit of this because he straight up just talks shit on Joe Rogan, dude. And I love it. Let's see.
Random selection. 8 years ago, I was mad. A lot of podcasters got involved. I don't have to do it. Apologies for being off for so long. I feel like we could have changed the outcome of the election if we had been here. I know a lot of podcasters got involved. Notice I said podcasters. I did not say comedians. A lot of podcasters got involved. Look, if you have a presidential candidate or a major politician on your show, and you do not fuck with them in any way, you're a podcaster. You're not a comedian. If you cancel an entire weekend of shows at the very last second so you can run yourself to Washington, D.C. to interview a vice presidential candidate and then post a picture of your arms around each other, you're not a comedian. We put out offers.
Yeah.
We put out offers. We told Kamala, we said, come into the Burbank studio, the old Burbank studio. We'll give you 20 minutes, talk about whatever you want. Never heard back. We told Elon Musk, we'll do a Zoom call, 25 minutes. We'll ask you questions about the Tesla truck. Everybody wants to know. We talked to Trump, Greg and I, for an hour in here, and then Aaron forgot to hit record. It was his bad. Listen, we're not going to get in the election too much. The Democrats, who I consider myself to be a part of, shit the bed so hard. Shit the bed. I'm not even mad. 8 years ago, I was mad. This time, I'm like, okay, this is where we live.
Yeah.
Anyway, might be a cathartic anti-Rogan experience for anybody that's looking for that.
And it's called the Vanity Project.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, I simply don't have the time to or the patience to go into the difference of this right now. I would just say that it's. I will say that actual communism, as it's written on paper, has never truly been attempted without in the way that top to bottom. Like anything that has been branded that has been done with an authoritarian bent, or at least became that very quickly.
Yeah, I'll take this one. The difference is communism is motivated by collective action, and Nazism is motivated by individual will to power, which is why the Nazi government was full of a bunch of backstabbing and constant jockeying for position, and Stalinism was not that so much. Stalinism is not communism.
Yeah,
it's a type of communism, but
communism can be authoritarian. Communism is not fascism.
Yes, communism can be authoritarian, but it doesn't have to be. Nazism must be authoritarian.
Strictly is fascism.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's a whole bunch of ways that breaks down, further from there. But the reason that these things often come up in conjunction with each other is because they're both, and have historically been, directions that societies have taken during extreme social and economic upheaval, and they both are ostensibly prescribed to fix what's ailing a society, civilization, nation state, or whatever. I don't think that I don't know. I mean,
on paper, communism is the organization of political economic relations around worker ownership of the means of production, which means unions and all businesses are democracies. People elect their own bosses and stuff like that. And Nazism, Nazism is rule by the master race, whoever that is, through authoritarian means.
One of them is possibly an impossible economic structure, maybe impossible to actually do it, definitely with the society, the populace that we currently have. But the other one is just a bunch of lies, which that would be Nazism. It's lies. It is harm. It is singling out certain people that you can blame everything on, and hey, look over there at that freak. Let's kill them while we're fucking robbing their working people blind, and not improving their conditions at all, actually. So there you go.
But Dane, they called themselves the National Socialists.
Oh fuck! That throws a wrench in everything.
It's in the name.
It's almost like I just said. They are liars.
Wait, are you telling me that North Korea is not actually a people's democracy?
They're not democratic, Bob. They're not of the people. They're not a republic.
What? But they say that it's in their name.
It's weird.
The People's Democratic Republic of Korea.
Maybe let them know that those words don't mean what they seem to think they mean. I don't know.
No, that can't be true.
Does it mean that like we for generations we just give it to the dude's first son, like even if he's like a big dumb fatty that doesn't know anything? I don't.
Are you telling me that buffaloes don't have wings? Is that what you're telling me? The chickens don't have fingers?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you. There sometimes things are called things that they maybe aren't. You know. Wait, titmouse is a bird, not a rodent. Does it even have anything to do with titties? Come on now. Don't be putting titties on things and. Yeah, oh man,
Boobies are also birds, I think.
Well, they were. Aren't they extinct now? Isn't it the or no? That's the dodo. I'm thinking.
No, they're not. They're not. There's also a bird
still alive. Yes.
Yeah, there's also a species of bird called the great tit.
Awesome. I'm not going to look that up, and I'm just going to imagine what I think that looks like forever, and I'm going to be happy about that. Okay. Instead of a beak, it's got one of those extendo nipples. That, you know what I'm talking about.
It's got a. I'm not picturing a bird body with a nipple instead of a face.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right, guys. Please, waitresses and your waiters too. We're not gendered around here. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so at Actual Fandom. You can do so at patreon.com/actualfandom. That is linked below. If you'd like to donate to the ongoing efforts to pay medical bills for my partner, that is also not linked below, but I'll drop it in a minute. I keep forgetting
to put that QR code.
That QR code, yeah. Where's that at? Where the fuck is it? We're really organized around here. I don't actually have it here, actually. So go me. I'm good. I'm really good at this. Nonetheless, yeah, I'm thinking maybe, I don't know. Depending on how I feel tomorrow, might do a Fapcast. I know I said we weren't going to do this on Sundays, but maybe we will. Depends if Morgan already has plans for what they want to do. If so, then that's what they'll do. But
yeah, and we should let everyone know about that too. That Morgan, starting last Sunday, began streaming their video gaming on the Force Diversity channel.
Podcast channel. If you're not subscribed to that is definitely linked below. You should subscribe to that if you're looking for something to do on Sundays. If you get your Morgan fix.
And I believe they played Dragon Age: The Veil Guard last Sunday.
Yeah, so it seems like the goal, the idea is that generally going to try and play a game that is related to something that certain folks are making a big deal out of right now because it's woke or whatever. And Morgan's just like, well, okay, well, let's just play it and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
I did make a joke in chat in that stream. I said, libertarians, they definitely do not agree with the Dragon Age of consent. So,
but I'm sure that they all know it though.
They know it. They just don't agree with it. They don't like it.
Yeah.
It's really totalitarianism, to be honest.
Whatever the local Dragon Age of consent is, they know it.
Look at this right here. I got it.
Look at that.
Right there. Look at that creature. That's actually not Jen right there. It says help.
That is what Jen will look like if you do not help her right now.
Oh my gosh. And she just walked in too, so that's great.
It's on you, chat. Do it.
We have to stop her from deteriorating to this condition. All right, guys.
We do not want patient 0 of the zombie apocalypse on your conscience.
Because that'll mean I'm patient 1, and please don't do that to me. All right, you're all fantastic, sexy people, all very lovely people. And here's this thing on the way out the goddamn door. Oh, Bob, what about you, man?
What?
Where are you at?
What about me?
Got a channel called What's Your Name Is? Something?
Yes, I do. Go check that out. I'll be doing something about Sydney Sweeney over the next couple of days.
Sydney Sweeney. She destroyed wokeness with her boobs.
Yeah, apparently so. There was a little flare up about her this week, and a lot of the takes were really amusing. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. You guys have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves and whatnot. See you soon.
Bye.
keep us from feeling anything. We solve the wounds in need of healing. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I'm thinking this is the end again. Maybe next time we'll get it right. Or maybe we'll find a way to fuck it all up again. You found the edge, Lord, it's appealing and obscene. You took a stupid fucking stand, and now you're kneeling before your stupid fucking king. Giving us every goddamn reason. Like the fuse and save some. Revolution is in season. These are memes that you think. These are memes that you think. Maybe next time we'll get it right. Or maybe we'll find a way to fuck it all up again. Damnedest thing I've ever seen. Damnedest thing I've ever Sees the means of that you think. Damnedest thing I've never seen. Sees the means of that you think. Damnedest thing I've ever seen. Maybe next Maybe next time I'll get it right. Maybe I'll find a way to fuck it all up again. I'm out of my head.
Thank you. Thank you.